Hi everyone, I am Jenica Mayers, language acrobat, CEO of Interpreting Your Needs, and an eternal optimist. Today, I want to share with you just a tribute to two men, two gentle giants who passed away recently. One who passed away this morning, Minister Franklin Khan, who is my former boss, and Hervé Honoré, who was the former district governor for Rotary International District 7030. Now, it is amazing to me that this morning, these two men who probably don't know each other, from two different countries, two different walks in life, came together in my thoughts for the simple reason that I was working this morning as an interpreter for Rotary International's PETS. Now, this has nothing to do with cats and dogs. PETS is a Rotary acronym for President-Elect Training Seminar. And it's a fantastic concept whereby Rotary provides all the tips and tools to their incoming leadership so that they have all that is needed to dispense their new leadership responsibilities. And so I was on that conference this morning. At one moment, there was a tribute being paid to Hervé Honoré, who is originally from Martinique and who passed away last week. And it struck me in the moment that Hervé is the one who introduced me into that whole world of Rotary. It struck me even further that at the time, Hervé was a business contact of mine, somebody that I knew in the realm of business. But over the years and through interaction, through Rotary, through business interaction, we became friends. And it dawned on me really that this is such a privilege, that I have had the privilege to meet many persons in the business fair where I may have interacted with them as a service provider, where they were a client or a stakeholder or a partner of some sort on some project or the other, usually to do with Caribbean affairs. And that was the case for Hervé Honoré. But 10 years later, we were good friends. And it really struck me and really grieved me when he passed away last week. And then this morning, seeing a tribute to him on the screen as I was interpreting live, I really had to do my best to try to keep it together. And it was in that moment I had another realization that I'm again very privileged that my personal passion is my professional pursuit. Can you relate to that? Where there's such a fine line between your line of work and the things that you're passionate about personally, that it just goes unnoticed. And so there I was in a professional context, working professionally for the Rotary, and tears welling up in my eyes over somebody that I'm seeing on the screen, a photo of him on the screen, of somebody who I met in the line of business. While on this call, I got a message from my dad that Minister Franklin Khan passed away. And I have to say, luckily for me, I was on a break at the time. My booth buddy was working. And so I had about 20 minutes to digest that shock that somebody else who I met in the line of business, somebody who has had a huge impact on my career, passed away this morning. And again, my thoughts went straight back to our first encounter. I had just come back to Trinidad and Tobago after serving in Haiti, and I was actively job hunting. I was thrilled that I had been called in for an interview for this job at the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government. I had gone through the first interview already, and this was a follow-up interview where I was meeting the minister. The minister wanted to meet with me personally, as he said to me that day, just to see if we're on the same wavelength. And it struck me again that he was such a down-to-earth man and a really good and fair boss. And once again, I had the privilege of working with someone who earnestly and sincerely loved his country. I want to put this on the record because oftentimes I hear, and oftentimes you hear, that people who work in public functions may have gotten their job through pulling strings. I can assure you, I had no strings to pull. I didn't know anybody in that ministry, and nobody in the ministry knew me. And so I want to really put it on the record that, at least for me, I can testify that there was a transparent recruitment process where I was hired on the basis of my CV and on the basis of an interview that was done, and finally on the basis of that encounter, very brief, with the minister. We just wanted to see if we were on the same wavelength. Since that time, though it was a short stint at the ministry, I can bear witness to a man, to a politician who sincerely took his duty seriously and who did his utmost to serve the public with excellence. He was the champion for local government reform during most of his tenure, and while I'm sad to hear of his passing, I'm happy to know that he would have been able to see in his lifetime some of the changes that he proposed were actually implemented and are being implemented to bring about what he termed the professionalization of local government systems. He was adamant that members of the public should have access to quality services and quality service delivery through the local government system. And he really tackled that with bravado, not being afraid of the naysayers, because there were many naysayers and those naysayers are still around. But he went about it with grit and he got the job done. Another thing that I remember him for, and I really want to put on the record and pay tribute to, is that portfolio of rural development. He is from a deeply rural community of Guayagüeyari, and he was committed to ensuring that rural areas, because much of Trinidad and some parts of Tobago are still deeply rural and very remote and have limited access to services that most people just take for granted. And I saw that close up and firsthand traveling across the country with the minister to places like Mayaro, to Maruga, to Toko, and other areas where local government reform consultations were held. And I can bear witness to some of the conversations that he would have had with villagers, with civil society organizations, as well as conversations with other politicians and public servants to try to get them behind his vision, because he had a huge vision for rural development and rural transformation. And I have to say, I was lucky, really lucky, to have landed that job at that moment in time with this particular minister who allowed me to rediscover my own country after being away for about 5 years. And so it was really an opportunity to get to know my country again, to get to know what was going on in the minds of the people, because I had felt pretty disconnected. And being able to see my country and see the Trinidad and Tobago population to some extent through this minister's eyes, and eyes of wanting to serve them better, through a perspective of wanting to bring those services to them in their rural communities. I learned so much, and I want to put that on record. So today I pay tribute through this video to two gentle giants, Hervé Honoré, former district governor of Rotary District 7030 from Martinique, and to Minister Franklin Khan from Guayagüeyari, Trinidad, both of whom have passed away. I extend my sincere condolences to both their families and to their extended families. In the case of Hervé, it was his extended Rotary family, and in the case of Minister Khan, it was his extended political family in the People's National Movement. Both men who served with distinction, who served, I would say, altruistically, and both men who have had a huge impact on my career. The person that I am today, as a CEO of a young company building bridges across language barriers, there are so many lessons that I learned along the way through these two public servants. And so this is just my small tribute and a way of saying thank you for your leadership, for your sterling leadership. Thank you for being who you were. Thank you for doing what you did. I particularly remember their families because, as always, when you're in the public domain and you are about public service, your private life often is impacted, and there's often a toll on your private life because you are so committed to serving the public. And so I say thank you to both their families for the sacrifices that they have made, for sharing their loved ones with us, the public, and with me in particular, helping me to go after my dreams and becoming the person that I am today.